All right, we're live.
Put a bald filter on.
That's all right. Give it a second. I'm just waiting until we get a few people signing on.
Have you got a bald filter?
Up the top there. What's that?
Have you got a bald filter? We can all be bald.
Yeah, we'll get some shoe polish or something.
No.
What?
No.
Oh, right.
Bald filter on, so
Oh,
we're all bald.
I don't. No. All right. Welcome to Knife Making Down Under podcast tonight, 25th of June, and we're coming to you live from a little town, Waimati. Did I say that? Waimati. I've got to say it more, Waimati. And we're just outside the town at the home of Scott Gregan and his family. Scotty's in the middle here. And we've got a few people joining us. We've got John Worthington from Ripping Knives. We've got Andrew Condick from Duo Forge, Duo Knives. Does that mean you're a knife maker now?
I have made a few. Yeah.
You have made a few, but Andrew is a very, very, very good blacksmith. And we've got Bret Miller from Damascus Artisan Supplies in New Zealand. So thanks for having us. Thanks for joining us tonight. And let's get started. Kev, how you going? How's your week?
Yeah, good, fellas. Welcome everyone. Good to see you all. Been a while since we've caught up, obviously, for the most part, for the Kiwis. Well, some of what we've been up to this week is looking at your posts of you catching trout, you bastard, but we'll get onto that one later. Outside of that, ran a really good class on the weekend for a couple of returned students using up the end of their Damascus billets they made here back in December last year. And all going well. They made some beautiful knives. And I've also been working on my own Damascus knives to get some more stock together for the Sydney show. So that's about my week or my fortnight so far.
Mert?
Oh, not much, man. Pretty much same thing. Trying to prepare for the Sydney knife show. And I got myself an engraver that came in the mail. So I'll be scribing and scratching every piece of cutlery in the house now. So I'll be carving spoons and shit till I get a bit more comfortable. And trying to prepare for Sydney.
I don't know if that's our internet. Is he breaking up for you?
No, I think it's your internet this time round. But that's as clear as crystal.
Yeah, take
that ditch. You ditch bitches.
Yeah.
Hey, cheers, Mert.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah.
They look
probably
like
still. Yeah. Oh, they've even gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
they look like they're about to drop a medal up.
Yeah, we're in we're not so close to town here, so we might have a little bit of sketchy internet. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, that's all right. It's like we're just talking while you guys were frozen. It's nice that it's your end for a change.
Yeah, that's right, across the ditch. So basically, we've had a pretty me and Bret have been doing a tiki tour of New Zealand knife making. We've had a pretty good time. Bret's organised a pretty good trip, and we've been to a whole bunch of places, including the workshop of one Mr. Matt James, a fantastic knife maker from up at Taupo. We've been up to field days demonstrating knife sharpening and grinders. We went to a young fellow by the name of William William Hudson, who lives in a beautiful part of the world at Opotiki, if I can say that right, which I know I can't. And then we've come down here to the south. We've dropped past Shay Stackhouse's place, Stackhouse Knives, and now we're down in Brookdale Knives down here at Waimati with Scott and his family. So that's what's happening. And this weekend, what have we got planned, Scott?
Just a bit of knife making, bit of talking shit, just the usual.
Bit of hunting for Corin if he's up for it.
Might get a wallaby.
They've got wallabies here, guys, and they're a pest. Like, they want me to go shoot wallabies.
No, he wants to go and shoot
I
wallabies.
kind of do, yeah. Just to put one up on Facebook, look, I shot a wallaby. That'd probably go down well at home, I think. It's been pretty grand. So tell us a bit about yourself, Scott.
So hi, I'm Scott. I'm the knife maker at Brookdale Knives. It's my brand. I've been making knives for about 4 years. So I started when I was about 12. I started off making knives as kind of a continuum from when I used to spend time with my grandfather in his workshop in Waimeri, where he makes small wooden toys. And I started making things at home, and knives just became a natural evolution of that. And the first kind of course I did when I started making knives was with Shea Stackhouse. I went up to Wellington and I spent about 5 days up there learning how to forge knives and just like the real basics of blacksmithing and knife making. And I came down here. I didn't do that much for the first, say, year after that course. And then I met up with Andrew Condick and he showed me the basics of blacksmithing, took me to his workshop in Christchurch. And then the day after New Year's, he took me and I met John and Clyde. And that's kind of been the biggest change to my knife making. And John showed me what he did, and I enjoyed his process and really respected knives he was making. And from there, I've kind of just evolved and made more and more knives and try and get them better and better. Hopefully one day I'll make a knife that John's happy with and doesn't point out all the flaws on. But yeah, so that's kind of just me and my journey and how I started.
Can you guys see those pictures I'm putting up? Is that coming up on your screens?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew, but I didn't know it was him. I've been talking to him on Instagram and all that, but yeah, it's nice to put a face on the like what you see on the social media. Finally, nice to meet you, right?
You too.
So so he's 16, and if you saw some of those pictures, he's doing some really nice work. And I've been handling some of his knives today, and just having a bit of a chat with him and discussing, the finer details and finishing. But the work is excellent, of excellent quality. So pretty good. And Stan Stanley's asking you there, Scott, if you only make kitchen chef knives.
Yeah, so I kind of only made knives that I use so I can test them out. I don't do much hunting, but I do like to cook. So I've only really made kitchen and chef knives up to this point.
So he's only made kitchen and chef knives, and you're going to branch into hunters. I saw some in your shop. Is that going to happen or what?
Eventually, yeah, when I get time. I mean, I've quite a bit of demand for the kitchen knives and I enjoy making them, but one day I'll get around to finishing them off. They've been sitting there for 2.5 years, but one day they'll get heat treated and done, I'm sure.
And Scotty, you're hosting this hammering this weekend.
Yeah.
How many people are coming?
So there's going to be 7 of us in total, so it's just a small gathering. But 4, obviously these 4 are staying here as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good. Tomorrow we're joined by Glyn and my granddad, Duncan. So that'll be good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. See what we can crank out in the shed. I just got some new grinders that I'd like to give a whirl. So looking forward to that as well.
Excellent. And so is there any projects on this that we're going to be working on? Has anyone got anything planned as a specific demonstration or anything? Is it free for all?
I think we're going to forge an axe.
Oh, yeah. Good.
And I might make Corin do some grinding, see what he thinks of some steels I've got here for him. So it should be interesting.
We'll have a go.
What about bottle openers? Is anyone going to be forging bottle openers?
Yeah, we've got some steel for that. Got all the tools to make those.
So, John,
for anyone that's not watching the broadcast, I'm actually holding up a bottle opener that was forged by Andrew, and it sits up in my workshop on my bar fridge and gets a reasonable amount of work while I'm up there.
We're not judging, man. We're not judging.
We're not judging, no. John, tell us a bit about yourself and how you started knives and how you met Scott and your involvement.
Well, I've been at the knife making for 28 years now. I just started in a little carport before the internet, and the library never had a book on it, so I sort of scrounged around friends and family and found the Knives 61 or something, black and white annual with various pictures in it, and went from there. So I've just gradually built up my skills. I've been going to Australia for the Sydney show and the symposiums for the teaching and stuff for the last 4 or 5 years, which has been excellent, really helps, especially meeting other makers over there. So yeah, just joining part of the community, because we don't have a very strong knife making community sort of core over here in New Zealand at the moment, though I do have plans to work on that. I met Scott 3-4 years ago. He was just a young fella, knee-high to a grasshopper, wet behind the ears. Never listened to anything you told him, just tore off to whatever it was he thought he knew. But we've gradually beaten him to shape with use of a 4-pound hammer and a few other things, and he's making a decent knife now. So yeah, we'll progress him to hunters and things in the next year or two and see how he goes from there.
I remember all of those late night messages I was getting from you saying how you had this young fellow around who was driving you crazy. You kept pulling your hair out.
Yeah, he still does that.
He's got no hair to pull out now.
Yeah, look what happened. I had a 40 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, and Andrew's been showing him some blacksmithing stuff, so he's got a forge. He just needs to spend a little bit of time with it when nobody's watching.
It does make
sense. Yes.
So, Andrew. Go, Kev.
No, I was just going to ask if it was mostly stock removal that you're doing. For Scott.
Scott, for me, yeah, at the moment it's mostly stock removal, or almost exclusively stock removal,
Cool.
He's generally working with stainless steels, or?
Yeah, so stock removal, full tang, stainless steel is kind of what I do. I've got 2 models of knives that I make at the moment, just a 7 and a 9-inch chef knife. This is a 9-inch chef knife here. So it's a 12C27 blade. It's stabilized timber handle, and kind of that model of knife. I have the 9-inch model and the 7-inch model, and that's kind of exclusively what I'm doing at the moment, just trying to get them better and better each knife.
Good plan.
So, Andrew, do you want to tell us a bit about your knife making and?
Well, I started off as a farrier, so I've done a lot of forging, doing that, and then stuff my back, and then started to do some hobby blacksmithing and artwork. I have actually made some high-end shoes out of steel, and lots of weird things, and been doing knife making with other people on and off for quite a few years. I've made quite a few completed knives, but I got sick of making them and doing all the grinding and stuff, and tennis elbow. So concentrated more on the forging side of it. I've been doing stuff with John, doing stuff together with Hero Knives. So I do the Damascus.
So I'll pull that up here.
Forging side of stuff. And play around, forging tongs and knives.
So there was a comment. There was a comment in the public comment section about you making tongs. Do you want to fill us in on that? I believe that was at your house, Kev.
Yeah, we had a little event which we kindly referred to as the Opposium, and we had John and Andrew. Who else do we have? Riley, Jamie, and a few others around here and there. Oh, my mate, the first one when we saw Andrew forge a pair of tongs, my mate Butch was here in town, and Andrew got us to cut the top off a railroad spike, heated it up, grabbed hold of the 4.5-pound hammer that I never use, and Butch and I basically had the same dumbfounded expression as our jaw hit the ground when Andrew started swinging that hammer, and made half a side of a pair of tongs in absolutely bugger all time, and it was just unbelievable to watch.
So what was the starting stock?
A railroad spike, and we cut the top of it off. So it was not much stock there.
And made a pair of tongs out of just a railway spike. railway spike tongs. I've seen people try and make knives out of railway spikes, but not tongs. So, and that's pretty impressive. Yeah, and that's pretty impressive because there's a lot of drawing out to do there. So how many heats was that?
Oh, I don't know. It was like 3 or 4 heats per side.
Nice.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a question here for you, Andrew, that says, what did you make with the Damascus you forged with Kyle Royer? Tell us about that.
I've just ended up making 2 knives. John's got one and I've got the other one, and it still hasn't got a handle on it.
Mine's finished.
Yeah,
John on my side.
The Honsuki that John made is theirs is done, yeah. So I have actually, it's been ground, hardened, tempered, all ready to go. It just needs a handle on it.
Nice.
And last time I went to John's, I couldn't find my timber that I found.
So did you do the masterclass with Kyle?
Yes, I did.
Tell us about that.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was very descriptive. Let's go a bit
He's a
deeper.
really good. For someone, he said he's never done a course before. He was a really good teacher. Yeah, I learned a hell of a lot. Different processes from other people and that, but he was really good. Going through, just all the different steps that you go through. I'd had an attempt at it before and failed it, especially doing the tiling. But you cleared all that up, and that made a huge difference.
So the course was in Mosaic Damascus,
Yes,
right?
it was. Yeah, it was really good. Excellent. Yeah, it was well worth doing it. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Brilliant. And the last person here tonight is Bret Miller.
I started with Gamico about 3.5 years ago, and I wish I'd started probably 20 years ago. But my induction was a very, very, very insightful one. I jumped on a plane and went to Sydney, and spent 2 days in the warehouse, and then jumped on a plane and went to Adelaide Knife Show, where I met a lot of the guys. Learned how to sharpen knives on the razor wheels, and started to learn about how knives are made. Later on, I did a course with Keith Flutter, and that was a weekend course. It was brilliant. I've got my little hunter that I show around the shows and that. And I've got a sister that hasn't been finished because it's really good to show sort of like the process. And I've made a chopper for our Easter meat. So we run an Easter meat every Easter, except for last year, of course. And yeah, we had a chopping competition last time, which you guys, pretty much everyone entered a knife, which is good. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to just learning more. And this weekend, I want to sort of get something for the kitchen, maybe.
Make a kitchen knife or start a kitchen knife. Yeah.
Start a kitchen knife.
Yeah. I think we'll sort something out.
So you'll be able to do that. I got here just on the subject. I didn't notice this is one of the props, but this is a rose that Andrew's forged. You can probably see that for the guys that it's pretty incredible. Yeah. So there we go. So what else is news out there, Kev and Mert?
What have you been up to, Mert?
Well, Colin, do you want to talk about our casting project over the last weekend?
Oh, yes.
Oh, why don't you talk? You were okay. So this is the Keith Flutter Invitational hammering. Is this that one?
Yes, this is Orbi Frenzy.
It was a what?
Orbit, or whatever that bullshit that you brought.
Has anybody put any pictures anywhere of what we did?
No.
Man, okay, so we basically
I think Corin, take that as like we were so tired of this Orbit shit. Nobody wanna put pictures of that magnificent art piece. What we did was great, but we fucking hated the whole process of sitting there and dealing with the molten aluminum in a cold.
So it was pretty awesome actually. What we did, it all started with Ian from Two Feathers Forge came up and we made a hammer at my place. That night, Mert turned up and we basically took about, I don't know, maybe 50 kilos of aluminium. It would have been a fair bit.
Yes.
We melted it down. and we just started pouring it into anything we could pour it into that would give us a result. I haven't put any pictures up, but did you see the finish? We tipped it down to termite mounds. That was fair epic. Have you seen the video
of that?
It's a pretty good video with us all yelling at each other as we discuss how it should be done.
No origins, dodgy as
I
fuck.
don't think there's no OHS.
No, there's molten aluminum. We're like, yeah. Corner's like, go, go, go. I'm like, what do you mean go? Like, up or down? Yeah, you burnt yourself. And I
2 weeks
telling
later,
you, Corin, do you want gloves? Nah, she'll be right, mate. And there's like molten aluminum, like glowing and dripping.
No, it was good. That's if you're watching, that's one of the things we cast, which you can't really see on my phone. The guys can see it here. Did you ever see the finished termite mound? Did that get cleaned up?
I don't think so. Well, if he did, he hasn't posted anything.
No. So we tipped it a whole bunch down a termite mound. We tipped heaps of it into Orbeez. So what Bert's talking about is these little water beads. So we just tipped the molten aluminium into the water beads, and it came up with these really wacky, crazy sculptures. Have you got one? Did you get one?
Yeah, I got one. It's in the shed.
Yeah, they look awesome. And we basically made a ghetto foundry, using, probably 20, 25 litres of aluminium at a time in a pour. And we did it a couple of times. It was fair. I don't think any of the videos will make it to Instagram and that because we'll just get caned on our OH&S.
I got video that's 12 minutes. I think your son took the video 12 minutes.
Well, that's my boy.
Yeah.
So we had a pretty good time though, eh? And what happened after that? You guys were going to.
Look, doing the cast, doing the thing, it was end because I think we finished up quite late, like close to 10, 11. And next day we tried. Next day Ian did some random pattern Damascus while Keith was watching it and teaching, and I forged a sword. And we attempted woods next day, but the issue was Mike Peterson's supposed to be there. He didn't. He wasn't feeling well, and on my way, I asked Keith. I said, Keith, is there anything you want me to bring for the woods? Like, no. Mike is coming. Everything is under control. So when I got there, Keith said, oh, Mike is not here. I was like, okay, that's not good. And I start asking him question. Okay, for the woods, do you have this? No. Do you have this? Nah. What's the size of this? I don't know. Do you have this? And so
what you're saying is it was typical Keith Flutter.
No. he was relying on that Mike Peterson was going to bring stuff. So we attempted with what he had, but it was it didn't look good from the get-go, and we didn't have a good result.
It was pretty. I had to actually. I couldn't be there for the other days of it. I was only there for the Friday night, so I don't really. I wasn't available, but had to come over here. But still looked like it was a lot of fun anyway. And Ian did get to make a pretty decent hammer, so that's on his Instagram. If anyone's interested, you go to 2 Feathers Forward. You can see the hammer he made with me, which was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. It's probably not as good as anything Andrew does, but I'm a hack, so it is what it is. So there we go. So this weekend's going to be a lot of fun. I think we'll see some forging, some grinding.
We might even have an impromptu cutting competition for Corin to enter.
Oh yeah, with a barrel knife.
I know, you can use it. I bought my cotton knife just for you.
Oh really? True. Oh, I'm going to be put on the spot this weekend. It looks like they've got plans. It's a real honour to be able to come over here, and Scotty and his family have gone totally out of the way for us, preparing food and looking after us so far already, and it's only the first 4 hours or something, so pretty good. Scott's workshop is pretty magnificent. Have you got pictures of your workshop up on Instagram, or you had it up on Facebook, didn't you?
Yeah, I put a couple of posts on Facebook recently of like my grinding area, and I did a video workshop tour.
So you can get on there and have a look at his setup. It's, you know, for a guy that's 16, how many knives do you reckon you've made?
Oh. I've probably made 120 knives. So out of that, I think 50 to 70 will be Brookdale knives, like under the logo I have now. And just a quick shout out to Andrew Smith. He actually made my logo when I was just starting out. I posted up. I said, "Can anyone help me with some logo ideas?" And I got an inbox with like this amazing design logo. He gave me 2 options, and yeah, on the knives, that's Brookdale Knives in Z. I said my workshop's under the Hunter Hills, and he incorporated the hills into the design. So just like a huge thank you to him for going out of his way to do that, and I still use that logo to this day. So yeah, thank you.
Andrew's design. Yeah, go, Kev.
I was going to say he's a pretty modest guy too. Hence his comment, "I love the logo on the blade" earlier.
So yeah, it's pretty nice. And Andrew's done a lot of work for the community, obviously, over the years. In fact, you say he inboxed you and said, "Hey, I've got this and I've done this for you." It was Andrew Smith back in 2013-14 that inboxed me when we were desperately trying to get the Sydney Knife Show happening, and said, "Hey, I'll put my hand up to give you a hand." And here he is now, in charge of, well, and running and doing all the design and promotion work for the Sydney Knife Show, the Brisbane Knife Show, the Perth Knife Show, the Symposium, and hopefully if we can get COVID to get off our back, it'll be the Adelaide Show as well. So
yes.
he's done a hell of a lot.
Can you share the link?
A worthy
Can you
shout
share
out.
the video, Corin?
I'll tell you what, I'll put it up on my Instagram, all right? So you'll find it on the video of the casting, Mert.
No, I'm talking about the promotion video for the Sydney Knife Show that the Knife Art Association just launched.
I didn't even know, mate. Where is it? Is it on YouTube or?
It's on Instagram. It's on the Sydney Knife Show page.
Right.
I figured while you're there, you might be able to pull it off. Maybe you can even like play it like as if it's the Timmy song.
I can't do that without preloading it, unfortunately. So that's not
okay.
But Sydney Knife Show, I can probably share the screen, so bear with me. Here's the video. I'll just get the screen share happening. Tell me when you can see it.
Oh, you start sharing the girl that works. Not that one, man. That's wrong video.
What have I done?
The twerking. The twerking.
Yeah,
They were the old days. We don't do that.
That's the stuff that. That's the stuff that happens at Sydney Show that stays at Sydney Show.
Can you guys see the screen now?
No.
Nope.
All right. Well, that didn't work. Share doesn't work. Enter screen. There we go. Boom. Let's try that. Just bear with me. I'll just get it to be bigger. No, it'll be what it'll be. Bear with me. All right, you ready? Let's go. Can you see that? Oh, that was me. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There we go. 7th and 8th of August at Rosehill Gardens. Guys, what are the chances that it's going to run? What do we think? We're going to put money on this?
No. No, I'm not going to put money on it, I should say. Not like, no, it won't go. I'm still hopeful it will happen. We'll just have to wait and see. Like, honestly,
I'm just hopeful I can get home. I've got to try and get out of here and get home. So we'll see how we go with that. Stephen Eads reckons 70-30 in the comments. And, yeah, no, that's probably hopeful, wishful thinking. We'll see what happens. It'll be unfortunate, but I think we can probably postpone it if needs be, Kev. You're the president. You're all over it, yeah?
Yeah. No, we're just quietly optimistic, but the next couple of weeks, probably next 3 weeks, will be something that will determine it, I guess.
Yes. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So Scotty, tell us about what steels you use, Scott.
So my skills kind of derived from what John uses because John heat treats all my knives, but I use 12C27 stainless steel and 14C28 stainless steel basically exclusively. I do have some Damascus coming in. I won the Damascus Steel giveaway, which I was pretty chuffed about. I haven't won anything like that before. And also I've got some Damascus coming from Matt James that I'm going to be using. So yeah, but mainly just 12C27 and 14C28.
And so John does your heat treating?
Yep. So can't get all the equipment in the world, and he does such a good job, and he doesn't charge enough. So he does all my heat treating at the moment. He just doubled the prices though. So
yeah. Way to talk yourself into a more expensive price, mate.
Wow.
Nice. You'll learn.
Charges too much, actually.
Now he's going to charge double anyway.
So, yeah, John, tell us about your what you use. What are your favourite steels?
I use N690 mainly. A bit of 14C28, which I prefer over 12C27. I think it provides a slightly tougher blade. But N690 I think is a step above again. Corin might find that out tomorrow. I bought a piece for him to grind, so we'll see what he thinks of it. But yeah, if I truly had my way, I'd be using Venatus 4, but it's just so hard to get here that it's just not applicable. But it's a fantastic powder metallurgical steel, just amazing.
Going to do some research into that. I'm not familiar with it, but John's been telling me some stories. It's got me a little bit excited. So you brought some with you?
Piece here.
Oh, nice. So we'll have a bit of a play and have a look at that.
Do some cutting.
Yeah. And yeah, what else? So you've got your grinders. You run a few special grinders. We normally talk 2x48 or 2x72 when it comes to grinders. What do you run?
I run 108-inch belt grinders, so they're all home built, sort of 28 years ago, really. We're still going strong, still on the original motors, just one horse, single speed, 8-inch drive wheels. They feel honk along, and they were good quality motors at the start. They're WEG motors, and 28 years later, with a lot of full-time use, they're still going strong.
Excellent. And you do all your own heat treat? You do cryo as well?
I do all my own heat treat, cryo. I only do shallow cryo. I gave up using liquid nitrogen just for the travel factor. It's a 3-hour one-way trip for me to get liquid nitrogen. So I bought a shallow cryo freezer that gets to -85 to do all my cryo for blades that require it. And I've got a hardness tester and a new pro kiln, which is absolutely fantastic.
They're good.
Yeah, not so much all the whiz-bang technology in the program controller, but the speed. You know, my last kiln take 7 hours to get to 1100 degrees. This new one gets there in 15 minutes. It's just a game changer for what I do.
Yeah, they're bloody good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what else? What are your questions, Kev? Mert? What do you want to know?
The market's running over there at the moment, John, or is that still all closed up?
I'm still running, but there's no customers, you know.
But tell us about markets. I've met very few people that can succeed selling knives at craft markets.
Right.
So well, tell us how you do
it. I do a craft market every Saturday in Queenstown. The big thing with Queenstown is when the tourist season is working and tourists are coming, getting 100,000 people through every week. So I basically worked out the figures, chopping it in half all the way down. I think I get approximately 3,000 people past my table a day at the markets. So I do one day at the markets, cost me $20. Have to take them home and set up. I'm there from 7 till 4:30 during the day. One day on a Saturday, and that's where I get my orders from and all my direct sales to the customers. So I average around 5 knives a week when everything was running pre-COVID as sales or orders. So,
And so how's that changed since COVID?
well, no tourists, so no customers. Because we've only got 5 million people in the whole of New Zealand, our domestic market is very small, so we can only really there's only so many knives you can sell to your local audience. So it's the big thing with Queenstown was the people passed in and out the door past my table. And they were changing every week, so, and I'd constantly get people that would come back, from 6 or 7 years ago. Oh, great, you're still here, beauty. I want to buy this knife and this knife and this knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so repeat custom for that sort of thing was really good. But it does become harder with the COVID thing. I'm just basically running on orders at the moment through the internet. It's not a big thing for me because I'm not really internet savvy, don't know how to work the system. I'm trying, but I'm pretty bloody useless. And yeah, other than that, it's just working on new stuff. I've got a whole range of semi steel home at the moment that me and Andrew are working on. So there'll be a few sand-my blades coming out. Wrought iron.
What steels? Oh yeah, okay, good.
Pretty much wrought iron and 1080 at the moment. There is a bit of Damascus in 1080. And what else? Something else? Maybe just a bit of Damascus as well. So we'll get a range of those out in the next few months. But they'll be online only. So yeah.
And Scotty, what's your marketing channels?
So all of my sales essentially are online. I have, as well as that, so that's Facebook. Facebook I found to be the best for me versus Instagram. And I find posting in groups a lot. So there's a group called Choice in New Zealand, which is like supporting local businesses. And I put a post up there and got quite a lot of attention from that and quite a lot of followers and things. So yeah, just from posting in groups and just online sales through social media, through my website, and a couple other ways. And I have one retail partner in Christchurch, so Shopology. If you're ever in Christchurch, you can go to Riverside Market. You can have a look. There's a Brookdale knife. It says Brookdale Knives on one side and Shopology on the other. And then also I'm working on another retail partner in Wellington at the moment. So I have those, and yeah, mostly just online other than that.
I forget.
Nice.
One of my other marketing streams is when I'm at the markets, I always have my business card there. And I can judge what a day is going like by how many business cards disappear off the table, because I count them at the start, count them at the end. Anywhere between 60 to 100 cards a day. And people might not think that you make sales from business cards, but I had one guy track me down from my original business card 28 years ago to buy a knife. It took him a while because I moved the house about 5 times, but he still got me. So yeah,
So if
hang on to them.
Anybody listening, if you guys successfully sell your knives at craft markets in Australia, I'd love to hear about that, because it's something that we don't really see in markets in Australia. It's normally the low end, imported, cheap. So it's really good that you see that you're getting out there. And
it is a full craft market, so it has to be handmade and it has to be sold by the maker. So you can't have someone else sell your work. So that precludes a lot of things. And we've got a reputation. The market's been running 28 years now, 29 years. So yeah, it's got quite a reputation.
That's pretty awesome, actually. It's pretty awesome, because we don't. It markets in Australia, I think they'd be saying, oh, you've got to put the knives under glass and all that sort of stuff. I think you've probably been doing it long enough that.
Well, it might happen here yet, but it hasn't happened yet. I've only had one idiot. But
I think we got more dickheads here. I think that's the reason. We got more dickheads here.
Yeah.
Because I find Kiwis to be a bit more on the polite side. And whenever I go to shows, there's always one dickhead like, oh, is that shop? Yeah, fuck, let me. and they'll just end up in a disaster here.
Yeah, I've got a few horror stories of people cutting themselves.
True.
Yeah, one guy took his fingerprint right off his thumb. Looked like a groper scale on the end of the knife.
Let me guess, it didn't feel sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, and he wouldn't admit he'd cut himself. He walked off with his hand in his pocket. The blood was making a big patch on the side of his jeans, and he would not admit it to himself.
Nice. Nice.
That was way back in the early days, probably 20 years ago.
So, yeah, and obviously the online channels are all working well. There's a question here about what the laws are here, about what you're allowed to carry in New Zealand. Are you allowed to? What are the rules around carrying knives in New
You're
Zealand?
still allowed to carry a pocket knife under 3 inches. You're not allowed to carry it, say you're going to the theatre or out for dinner. There's no point in you carrying it. But if you're walking around town, you're certainly allowed to carry one in your pocket. You get away in rural areas with a knife and a pouch on your belt, but as long as it's sort of part of your working clothes and things. So if you're a farmer or hunter or something.
Yes.
John,
There's
if I bring a sword, but I attach my keys to the sword like a keychain.
Yes, perfectly acceptable. As
Okay,
long
I'll
as you
say
come
like-
to see at my house.
I'll say like, this is my keychain. Like, don't mind me
Yep.
carrying in my backpack. This is a keychain. Will I get away?
Yes. Good luck getting on the plane with it, because Andrew got stopped for his 2-inch anvil keychain.
I'm obviously gonna check it. I'm obviously gonna check it in with the suitcase.
I
Well, what-
I got
the
the
normal-
other day. So, essentially, I was in Wellington and I brought a couple knives up to show people. And on the way back, I didn't even think about it, but I put it in my carry-on luggage. And they scanned my bag. You know, 2 big 7-inch chef knives. They scanned my bag through the machine, and they said, "Oh, do you have anything to declare?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Do you have anything, like any knives in here?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so. I just completely forgot about them." And then they're like, "Oh, what's this?" And there's, you know, obviously 2 big 7-inch chef knives in a carry-on bag. But
And that's why you're no-fly. That's why you're no-fly list.
yeah, but they were actually pretty chill about it. My mum was still at the airport, so she had to run and put it and grab it and put it in the bags under the plane, so I didn't lose the knives, fortunately. But yeah, it was a bit of a stupid moment, and I felt like a bit of an idiot when the customs officer was asking me why I had these big knives in my carry-on luggage.
It is, yeah, it's a bit crazy. And you got caught with knives at school too.
Yeah, so I usually have a few knives in my cupboard just in case I need to go show people in Christchurch or ship them out. And the cleaning ladies decided one day that curiosity got the better of them, and to see, because they're always in pouches like this, and to see what was in the pouches. So they obviously went through my cupboard and unzipped my pouches, and they saw, oh, he's got 10 knives there. And they went and told my housemaster, who already knew because I brought them in to show him. And yeah, so no more knives at school. And if they are, they have to be locked and well away from the cleaning ladies. So.
Because they could have someone's eye out, right? So David Heron says, Scott, 16, wow, confident, well-spoken. Let me tell you something, David. He's not only a confident, well-spoken guy, he's a fantastic maker, and he's going to go places if he keeps going down the way he is. And I think the main thing there is the attitude to taking feedback and asking for feedback. It's just phenomenal to watch somebody on the table regularly and routinely in front of people who are going to give honest and frank feedback, which is what he does. And John's there, and I've got to say John's a little bit brutal, I think, but it's paying dividends anyway. He's coming along with, he's making beautiful stuff. So we're going to see plenty more of Scott if he keeps going down this path. So yeah, absolutely. Next question.
John, is your workshop complete now, up and running?
Oh, it's always been complete, up and running, but no, it hasn't had its new renovation yet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it still hasn't got a ceiling, or it hasn't got double glazed windows and the fire and things in there.
And now, why is a fire important, John? I
Well,
don't think there'll be too many people in Australia with a fire in their workshop, mate.
well, because it's been -2 in my workshop all week.
Tell
Hey,
everyone
Corin.
I live in a little place called Clyde down in central Otago, so it's sort of sideways from Queenstown. But in the winter we get an inversion layer, so the sun doesn't come out. And I haven't seen the sun until today for 3 weeks, so it gets pretty cold.
We're driving here. I'm in the car with John, and the sun pokes in under the clouds just before it goes behind the mountains, shines down on John, and John almost stopped the car and stuck out his arm. Done. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see it occasionally.
So
But we only have weather the same as Canberra.
Yeah, look, it's been last few days here. We had 35 mil of rain yesterday, and I think it just got to 10 degrees. And today was the same. It was just cold, wet, and windy. You know, and I get asked the same thing about why I have reverse cycle aircon.
Yeah,
Because
I've
it
got
gets
that
to
in my
40.
office.
It gets to 40 degrees in summer, and 5 degrees in the workshop in winter.
I think it's just to keep up with me, but that's okay. Stan Stanley
And that.
Stan Stanley says everyone's favourite handle material ? What do we like, guys?
Good G.
Good G.
Scotty.
Jarrah.
Oh,
I like greenstone mallee. I've never made a knife out of it, but it's bloody nice. And that stuff that Sinclair has been selling, I've got it. I want to try that. So I'm just gonna. I don't really care though. Anything that's really, really good. Bull oak is my all-time favourite though. Bull oak burl.
Really nice.
I thought-
want a close second. That's nice stuff.
I thought for a moment that we were going to see a different answer from John, given his recent run with some.
Here we
What is
go.
it? The Damascus G10.
My recent handle. I don't know which one we're going.
Now I've got to say it's out there, Kev.
Yeah,
In the library.
the green liners and the Kiwi flag coloured G10.
We're gonna give that a run tomorrow, apparently. But yeah, it's
Yeah, nice.
probably on a wallaby. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, and I coloured it like that specifically so I won't sell it. Because if it had a nice handle, nice timber handle on it, I'd probably sell it.
You should. I wouldn't. Scotty.
You'll still get offers.
You probably will. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is the only piece of Venatus 4 that I've had.
Julianne says, "Ooh, pretty."
Yeah, there you go.
So David Heron's got a question here. It says, "I assume Scott is still at school. How does he manage his time between school knives and between school? There should be a comment, knives and other stuff a 16-year-old guy is interested in."
Hockey. Well, it's even harder because I'm at boarding school, so I can't even go and work on them after school or anything. But
It's a boys only school, so that's half of it.
I go home a couple weekends every term, and then during the holidays, I kind of try and treat it like a 9-to-5 job, and just get as much time in as I possibly can. But yeah, during school, I mean, there's not really much I can do. I try and do a little bit of marketing and social media posts here and there, and responding to emails. But yeah, it does become a bit of a challenge trying to find time. But during the holidays, I find it's a pretty good school holidays job. You know, the boss is always nice and there's flexible hours.
Go. Does that answer the question? I'd say so. Next question, Kev.
Do you play rugby?
No, this year I used to, but not anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
Something had to give.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we've
well,
got a
that's
question from Weird Knives that we can discuss. I finally caught one of these live. Can I ask? I need to wear reading glasses now, and I can't figure out how to wear a mask and glasses while grinding.
Well, I wear glasses to grind, and I have to you can buy, what are they called? The full lens magnifying reading glass type things. So I wear 2.5s to grind, and they're excellent. They're a proper safety magnifying glass.
So I think the question was regarding the mask and the fogging up of glasses.
And I wear a half mask.
Yeah.
Because if you try and wear a full mask over glasses, it will pull the air around the side where the glass frames go.
Right. So you're talking about a
Unless-
mask that runs right across your face, like
Yeah.
the 3M style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wear one of those as well.
I've got the full face respirator, and the glasses fit underneath it without any
Yeah.
trouble at all.
Just try on one to get it to fit. Always wear your glasses when you're trying on your masks. Otherwise, you won't get one to fit properly, and your mask will steam the glasses up if it doesn't fit properly.
Timmy's
Yeah, I
got a
got one
really
of
good.
the powered respirator filter things, so positive flow air.
There they go.
Glasses don't
There they
fog.
go. Timmy's got a good one of them. There's a few there. There's one there from Catherine Wilton who says, "How great is Gamaco New Zealand staff?" Friend of yours?
It could be. Hey, I was going to say, we're sitting down here making noise and having fun, and the girls up there are doing our stock take for us. So Kerry
Catherine,
and Catherine are just doing a good job.
Catherine's
Fish and
one
chips
of
for
our,
lunch today.
yeah, Catherine's one of our staff here that look after all the knife makers. Catherine and Kerry, anybody that's bought stuff off Gamaco will no doubt know Catherine and Kerry, and they're just always trying to make sure we do the best we can over here for the market that there is here. Yeah, there we go. And we're Knife says, thanks for that, fellas. So yeah, full face, and I think the powered's the way to go. And I think my next one will be a powered one.
I've got a
I think it's
powered
worth it.
half face issue.
Yeah, good.
Really good.
Where does Scott see his future? Knives or something else?
I don't think I'd like to ruin knives by having it as a job. I mean, it's kind of a part-time job at the moment, but I feel like if I had to do it every day, I'd just get sick of doing the thing that I enjoy, and I'd rather keep it as a hobby. So I think I'm going to do some form of engineering, possibly architectural engineering, for a job in the future. So I go to university, might even move to Australia and move my workshop over there to go to university. But yeah, I think knives will always kind of be something on the side, and then have a different career.
What do you reckon, Mert and Kev? You guys are both full time.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I didn't go full time.
full time making knives.
I didn't go full time until quite late.
Your answer.
I had career in hospitality, and then in the government, and then now knives. So it's that reverse situation. Do the full-time yakka, pay off all the debts, or most of your debts, and then get into knife making later, where it can still be fun, and you can choose days where you just go, no, I don't want to be in the workshop, and it's not imperative that you're in there.
So Kev's not even 50 and he's semi-retired yet.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a reality, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, you've paid off your debts, you've done the hard yards, and you're now working to your own hours, doing your own thing, and it's quality of life. And
That's it.
yeah. And John, you've been full time for how long?
Probably 15 years out of the last 28.
Still fun?
Yeah.
Still enjoying it?
You've got to work when you need to work and try and set regular hours. So, at 5 o'clock, I lock the workshop and go to the house and do other things.
And I believe you have a union, and unions set
Yeah.
great times.
Union rules, cup of tea at 10 o'clock.
Fairly strict here on that, I believe. I've been hearing stories about the Knife Makers Union over here, run by Mr. John.
Yeah.
That's what they should call the association you start. The
Knife Makers Union. The New Zealand
Knife
Knife
Makers
Makers Union.
Union. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
No, that is.
It's good.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
The New Zealand Knife Makers Union coming to a knife making group near you in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And Mert, you're full time. You went from chefing full time now to knife making full time. What's the major difference that you see out of the two?
Well, first of all, knives don't call out sick. Knives don't talk back to you. And, you hit the knives with the hammers, but you don't hit the apprentices. And knives tend to be harder than the apprentices.
They can't vault them, they're fascinating.
So there's some words of advice. I'm pretty. If I was a full-time knife maker, I'm a maker, but definitely, I think my OCD and that I wouldn't cope with going full-time. But I'll just stick to my one knife a year. Yeah.
Look, there's a few ways about it, right? You can either be more of a sort of boutique maker, being full-time, where pick and choose what you want to make, or make what you want to make and sell it, or you can go into that semi-production style of making, or as there are makers in Australia, you can go into full production making. What you need to do is work out what lifestyle you want to have, how big you want your business to go, and how much risk you're prepared to take to get where you want to get.
Exactly, Kev. Like what you said is very important. Deciding to make knives as a living is no different than opening a business. Like as a chef, if I was to open a restaurant, I will have to sit down and say, okay, what do I want to serve? How many people we're going to be able to cater? And you need to come up, just like setting up a business, you need to answer those questions. And my situation is kind of unique because, as you guys were saying, most of the full-time knife makers are either semi-retired, like they paid their bills and they don't have any dependents. But in my case, I got 2 young kids and I'm trying to be full-time. That kind of situation kind of forces you to make tools. I have to keep making tools to be able to sell. Like part of me wants to make something more artistic, but making something artistic is going to take time in terms of getting the inspiration, coming up with the design, and always experimenting something new. Because when you're trying to make something artistic, you're not making something over and over. You're coming with the one-off designs, unique designs, but whenever you do that, you'll realize, like, for example, for you, Scott, when you say, I want to come up with a new model, all of a sudden you realize it's been a week, you haven't finished the knife. Versus if you take your templates, put on your steel, trace it, and send to John and hope that he will move his bum to heat treat and all that. And yeah, so making artistic stuff is fun, but it's not, I don't think it's feasible. But when I was talking to a full-time maker of mine, he was saying, whatever you do, you have to spend a day or half day for yourself. Work 4.5 days, work 4 days. One day, make something for yourself. But I'm not talking about like fixing the shit that's broken in your shop. Like the stuff, the tracking is on your grinders off, you meant to fix it. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about work something new, grind, work a profile, or make an axe, make a sword, make a dagger, make something that's going to push you out of your comfort zone. Whenever I realized I was doing something one-off, that's where I learned the most. Otherwise, you're making the same thing, same knife, same handle, same grind, which is safe, but you got to make something once a week, half a day, full day, so you feel excited about doing things. Otherwise, trust me, there's no boss, but this shit gets boring real fast, just like any job.
Yeah. David Heron's got a comment there about, I'm thinking lack of being social with others. That is definitely something you have to consider if you're going to be a sole operator. I get a fair bit of contact with Mert, a fair bit of contact with John through Facebook and Instagram and stuff when we chat about things. But realistically, vast majority of my days are in my workshop by myself.
Yep.
And you got to be happy in your own company.
But Kev, I've got a question to ask here. Do you dance to the radio at 3 p.m. in the afternoons?
Oh, I don't really dance to anything. Even on my own, I'm too scared to dance. I'm really bad.
I think I've been busted 4 times boogieing from the grinder to the workbench.
But 3 p.m. is a union break.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
on the way to the cup of tea.
Oh, yeah, right.
I do. I listen to a lot of audio books. That's my thing, and Sometimes the language is not very appropriate in the audio books, depending on the one I'm listening to. And you know where my workshop is, one side of my workshop.
Don't tell us the erotic audio books, please. He's only 16.
Well, they're normally books that have sort of some sort of violent battle content and swear words and but one side of my workshop, the roller door goes up, there's a little side street, and I've got designated 3-ish, 15. That's when all the school kids in the neighbourhood walk on that street. So I've got to be careful that I'm not have some violent audio book running. Because their mothers are probably like, oh, there's that crazy guy in his workshop again.
Yes. Yeah, I understood most of that. It's breaking up a little bit here. I think our internet's a little bit less than perfect. A little bit. So Glenn says, how do you keep your motivation in place when it's not going on? And Mert pretty much covered, that's what you're doing these days, Mert, doing these swords and things. Kev, what do you do to keep your mojo running?
Other things. I'll go fish or something like that. Get out of the workshop. Get out of the workshop. Sometimes I'll take, if I'm just not on what I'm doing or things aren't going right, I just don't go in the workshop. I'll find other things to do. Or if I go in the workshop, I do that maintenance stuff. I get in there and go, I'm not really feeling good about making knives. I'll, clean stuff or, just this week I just set up those dust flaps on my extraction system. Put on some carbide.
Pretty awesome. Are they on Instagram?
No, I haven't put them up yet.
All right, so we've got to get some stuff after the show because that was pretty amazing. I've shown the guys. Well, John had already seen it, but I was showing the guys just before.
Yeah. So that was just an idea I had because my extraction system I use for timber dust only at the moment anyway, and I just wanted to keep that flap closed to prevent the steel going in, but also the way I've got trialing my dust extraction set up. After a few weeks of using it, I needed more of a table underneath the wheel to collect more of that timber dust. So then I just decided I'd put a hinged flap in. Just went down to Bunnings and bought the materials and came home and sat down, drilled a few holes.
Andrew didn't think you made it yourself. He was saying how incompetent you were. He said, you didn't like that.
You but
he did.
I hope you got those materials from Bunnings Picton.
No. They weren't open when I drove up. And they were I thought I'd better go home.
And how about you, John? What do you do when the mojo's not firing?
I tend to get out for a bit of a hunt or a fish, but quite often I'm like Mert. If there's, if I need a bit of inspiration knife-wise, I'll make something. I've got a list of knives that I want to build or make. And sometimes I'll start it and decide that it's junk and throw it in the drawer. But quite often it'll get finished and tucked away somewhere. And quite often the stuff that you make for yourself, to please your own urges about knife making, sells for a lot more money than some of your regular stuff, which I find is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more custom. It's not
Damascus,
one of a kind. It's worth more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you make it to please yourself. So some of those things you do, just that little bit better or,
Andrew, do you sell stuff you make? Do you go through this process?
I know a giant loss.
It's pure passion.
It is a passion. Yeah, I do stuff for John, and when we make some sand mire and stuff, and when John sells it, I get my commission. But most of it's I've been showing a few other. I've got a couple of other young fellas who can do my workshop, teaching them some forging, doing that. It's been quite good. I like sharing it and knowledge, and because I know how hard it is. It doesn't matter whether you think you go and make a pair of times on your own. You soon learn to figure out how long it's going to take you to make them.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
I do a bit of mentoring. I've got 3 guys I mentor at the moment, so it's not too bad. Just keep on top of them. Like Scotty here.
So David Heron says he just danced in front of his daughter And her response is, "Daddy, don't, just don't." That's fair enough.
I got a question for the guys over there.
Boogie Swing Ronnie. Brandon Pascoe says, "Hey, I met you guys at Field Days in the Waikato. I was opposite you guys in the model barn tent." Brandon, good to see you on here, mate. Good to see you following, and hopefully you'll put that knife kit to good use. If it's the guy I'm thinking of.
Mert has a question.
Yes, there we go. That's the comment section dealt with. What's next?
Corin, I have a question for the fellas over there.
Go.
So we always hear the negatives of being a knife maker in New Zealand, like in terms of how difficult it is to get the stuff and things like that. So what's the pros of making knives in New Zealand?
Don't have to be Australians.
Jeez, boys.
Well, don't bring your workshop over when you're at uni.
Just knocking them into shape, little shit. Some of the materials and stuff now are better than ever. You know, back when I started, you'd have to find things to find steel. You know, I used to import a 2 meter by 1 meter sheet of steel from Austria. So I'd have to order it 6 months in advance, make sure I had the money ready and get it shipped across. So I had an available supply of steel. But with the advent of the internet and with Gamaco getting so much more into the market, you know, there's a ready supply of materials for making knives. So yeah, I don't think there's much difference between Australia and here.
Just takes an extra 2 weeks sometimes.
Yeah, and
anything we can get to Australia, we can have in New Zealand 2 weeks later.
Yeah, and the 2 weeks is nothing. You know, I used to wait 6 months for a steel. But it's people nowadays that they seem to want it immediately, right now. I need it this week. I forgot to order it. Just get your shit together.
Look,
that's
if you treat knife making, sorry, Kev, if you treat knife making like a business, which you should, you never want to be running like day to day. You never want to be like, unless you work in the kitchen that you need a new fresh lettuce for the next day. It's not like that. You never want to be running out of stuff. You always want to be like, let me make sure I have enough belts for the month. So
I've probably got 400 belts hanging on my wall at the moment.
Yeah, and shit doesn't go bad. Like it's not like a fish. It doesn't go bad. And just like a business, you always want to be ahead. You don't want to be coming like, this is the last bit of steel. You always want to have replacement, just in case some shit goes wrong.
I'm constantly chasing timber. That's my biggest thing. You know, I try to be 5 years in front with my timber.
I'm about 50. I'm smashing you, even more.
I'm 372 years in front. Still buying.
I think I've nearly got as much as you, Kev.
Oh no, you haven't seen the workshop recently.
Oh, all right.
One of the guys that I was buying from, reasonably local, decided that he didn't want to sell timber anymore. So got in touch with me, and I went over and bought quite a bit before he shut his doors. What's that young fella laughing about?
It's just something about you. Don't worry. The very first time I went to Kev's workshop was very interesting. We were up there having a poke around. I had my shirt tucked into my pants, and every time I went past a nice piece of timber, I'd just tuck it down my front. And I kept standing next to Kev and giving him a bump. And he goes, finally, "What are you up to, you fat prick?" Slaps me in the belly and realizes I had 60 pieces of handle material in my shirt. He's never trusted me since.
No, I actually get him to wear a little camera now. Little body mount so I can see where he goes. But it's a bit unnerving though. There's lack of trust to the point where I've got to follow him into the toilet.
Yeah, well, you know, that's his using his prison wallet.
Oh,
David Heron says, sorry. David Heron says, There's been some commentary about the next Gamaco bolt buy. Word is to mini press. Need to confirm or deny. We're working on 2 different things at the moment, David. 3. We've got a lot in the wings. Stay tuned. Did that confirm or deny anything? Good.
That was a really good run-around question, actually.
Yeah,
run-around
stay
answer.
tuned. There's some good stuff happening there. We're just working on a couple of different suppliers at the moment. So Timmy's in charge of that one, and I'll leave it with him. I'm trying to understand Marty Jelnick's question about cuddling Glenn Beaton more. I don't get that. So there we go.
Glenn Beaton wrote, "Nothing wrong with a little boogie in the workshop."
You've got to cuddle more. Oh, no. I don't know. No, it's all good. Happy days. So, guys, anything else before we wrap this up and let Scotty get to bed?
Let's got to get to bed. He's a young fella. He needs his sleep. You guys need your beauty sleep.
David, we are working on a cases. You just hold the language in the comments. We are working on a couple of press concepts, designs, and manufacturers. So just it is in the wings. It'll be it may be us, it may be Anyang Australia, but someone will have something pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Very good.
Yeah. So unless there's anything else anyone wants to ask, we'll cut it off and we'll catch up same bat time, same bat channel. Well, it'll be back to normal time in a couple of weeks.
Sounds like a good plan.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. Appreciate your time. Good to see a couple of you guys again.
See you, mate. See you, Kev.
Righto then.
And everyone wish Bret a happy birthday for Monday.
Happy birthday for Monday.
Happy birthday.
Before we duck off, I think Stan Stanley's asking you guys who your inspiration is, who you follow, and also to just tell us the channels that they can find you on so that they can follow you on your channels. So if we just go around real quick, probably kick off with John and go from there.
Well, I'm Reapy Knives on Instagram, or reapy.knives, and same sort of thing on Facebook, I think. And that's about as far as I go. Yeah.
Andrew?
I've done stuff with John, and at the moment it's Duo Knives. I have got another name I'm working on, but I've posted nothing, so there's no point looking yet. But I will put something up shortly.
They can start following in anticipation of your amazing posts. He doesn't know the name of it, though, so I'm kind of putting him on the spot there.
Spelling, so that won't happen.
Okay, moving right along. Scott?
So you can find me at Brookdale Knives on Instagram, at Brookdale Knives on Facebook, and I have a website, brookdaleknives.com as well.
There you go.
Bret.
Well,
Gamaco.
Bret Miller for Gamaco.
And
No Instagram yet.
do we have a Gamaco Facebook page or anything? We don't really. No, you can follow them through just the general Gamaco.
Search for bulk buys. That's all you need.
Yep. And we'll go from there. Have a good one. All the best.
Righto. I'm going to go
Have a
get
good
some lunch.
week.
See you guys later.
Listeners, thank you for joining us. All the best. There we go. So